Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Whew. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
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 Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Deo, Deo.
Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake is all go down. Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake is all go down. Corrosion to her thighs, erosion of her pride. Baby's got a shooter. Baby's got corrosion now. Corrosion now. Baby's got it.
Greetings and salutations from Chicagoland area here in North America. It is I, Letterman, not David Letterman, but the Letterman from the electric company. Remember? Faster than a rolling O, stronger than a silent E, able to leap capital T in a single bound. It's a word, it's a plan, it's Letterman. Booyah! All my old schoolers know what's up. Good morning, everybody. We got Max in the house. And Kate's here, and Poppy. I saw you earlier, Poppy. Thank you. I'm sorry. I think I threw everybody off. We've been having some gremlins in the local cable company, the local internet service provider there. It seems like sometimes you could just sneeze in this neighborhood and the internet goes out. So I'm going to try and keep one eye on that. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But if it does, I think I have a backup to try to keep us on the air. But we'll see, as they say. So, how you doing, everybody? It is Friday. Today, I just want to give a shout out to my buddy Jamar Jabari from Jabari Media. It is his birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Jamar. I don't know how old he is. That's none of my business. So, I ain't getting up in that business. I don't like to. When the older people get, the less I'm inclined I am to ask them how old they are. So, unless they're my age, and then I don't give a fuck. Mystery, what's up? Good to see you. Willie Bragg in the house. What's going on? Willie's going to be on the Undercurrent this coming Wednesday with me and the lovely and talented Laine Petersen. That's going to be a fun show. We're working on that right now. Willie, you're 34. You lying mother. You liar. Getting some gnarly weather tonight. Like I am in the Ozark. Oh, you're in the Ozark. We're supposed to. We got some Wednesday that came through, and I don't know if you guys. I don't watch my local weather, man. I'm a terrible person. But I do watch this guy Max Velocity on YouTube, and he's this meteorologist, young kid just out of meteorology school, but he did it right. If there's like tornado warnings or anything anywhere in the country, he's on top of that. He's got storm chasers that go after that shit. It's wild. I was watching some of his stuff during the winter with all the winter storms and stuff like that too. So, yeah, we got hammered up here. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, parts of Illinois too. They got fucked up too. So, oh, Jabar's. Oh, Jabar's 34. Okay. I'm sorry, Willie. I thought you were being silly and saying, I'm 34. I'm the baby. I'm sorry, Willie. I know we're the same age, but I feel like I'm getting more senile every day. So, especially what's going. Yeah, I've seen him too. Yeah. Ryan Hall, y'all. Yeah, he's pretty cool too. Yeah, I think he has his own storm chasers too. Man, I always wanted to be a storm chaser. Right? When I worked in TV back in the 90s, and I used to hang out with the meteorologists because those were the cool kids. Anyway, but it was just fascinating, right? You know, and I operated a live truck, so a lot of times we'd go out to places that just got hit. And hey, Laine, speak of the devil. I was talking about Willie coming on Wednesday. So yeah, Ryan Hall is great. There's somebody, Chris Bordeaux, I think is his name. That's another guy on YouTube. He does that kind of stuff. It's really fascinating too. Because I'm a weather geek, right? If you go to zoom.earth, is what I'll use sometimes when I'm talking about like hurricanes and stuff, which will probably be back. We probably should have a shit ton of hurricanes this year. So you're not crazy, Poppy. See, that's why. Peace, Dove. Good morning to you. And if you're on the East Coast, sorry, it's not morning. You're late joining us. We had some internet issues, and we may still have some yet. So we're going to keep those fingers crossed for the show today. It's not a huge show, but you know, that's what she said. Yep, Ryan Hall is the dude, but he won't talk about climate change at all. Right? Yeah, I know. I think I look at weather like news, right? You have two kinds of people, right? You have your news broadcasters like me who aggregate news stories for you and put it out there for you. And then you have your more in-depth people who talk about the news in depth, right? I think it's the same thing with weather. You have this is what's happening right now. I don't have time to go into depth about like the pros and cons of the arguments of climate change. I'm just telling you what's happening right now. And then you have other people who will, debate that and that sort of thing. Hey, V, good to see you. It's been a minute. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so anyway, but yeah, it's, I think we're due to get some more to come through today. So hopefully we'll be done with the stream by then. My buddy Game.Film is in town. Looking forward to hanging out, with him this weekend. So him and his lady friend are here. So good times. All right. So let's get to the not so good times, and that be, our, news for today. Although I guess this is good news, but if you're a skeptic like me, probably not. Trump says Israel and Lebanon have agreed to 10-day ceasefire. Interesting. So they were in Washington. I think the president of Lebanon was here, and I don't know if Netanyahu was here or not. He may have been, but for negotiations. But anyway, we'll get into it. Trump announced yesterday on his social media bullshit that the governments of Israel and Lebanon have agreed to a 10-day ceasefire that will begin, it's actually begun now at midnight this morning. So it should be in effect. Ceasefire in quotes, as you know, when anytime you're dealing with Israel. The president also said that he would be inviting Lebanese President Joseph Aoun and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House to establish a more lasting truce between the two countries. Okay, so maybe the president didn't show up. So I think they just sent their negotiators ahead. So So Israel for weeks has been conducting a relentless bombing campaign and ground invasion in Lebanon that has killed and wounded thousands of people while displacing over 1 million. The ground invasion stuff, we'll get a little more detail into that in just a second. The ceasefire announcement does not mean that lasting peace has been achieved, given that the deal was between the Israeli and Lebanese governments, but not the political and militant group Hezbollah. Yes, just two separate things. If you didn't know, you have a Lebanese government, and then you have the you have Hezbollah, who is more of like a freedom fighters faction. Nicholas Grossman, professor of international relations at the University of Illinois, said that a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon is a weird thing to tout, since Lebanon isn't a combatant, and there is no Lebanese fire for the Lebanese government to cease. That's right. So the people of Lebanon are like, But the Lebanese government is full of, to be blunt, cucks and pussies. They're not very brave people. Amikai Stein, diplomatic correspondent for Israel's I-24 News, reported that members of Netanyahu's cabinet were outraged during a meeting because Trump announced Israel's consent to a ceasefire before security cabinet approval. It's Trump. What do you expect? That's what he does. Iran has been insisting on a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon as a precondition for continuing negotiations about ending the war with the U.S., which Trump launched illegally in late February without any authorization from Congress. And then we'll get into that a little bit more in just a second, too. I think that's it for that. So, yeah, 10-day ceasefire, right? Allegedly, as James Lee likes to say. Allegedly. So Hezbollah vows to keep their finger on the trigger as the ceasefire takes effect. So this is Hezbollah's reaction to all this. So Hezbollah released a statement vowing its fingers would remain on the trigger hours after a temporary ceasefire took effect across the country following 45 days of war. Only 45 days. It just seems like they're always at war. I know they're not, but Israel fucks with them so much. It just seems like it. This is from them. In defense of Lebanon and its people, we fought the devoured straw battle over the course of 45 days, during which we inscribed heroic epics rarely matched in strength, courage, steadfastness, reliance on God Almighty, and confidence in his victory, Hezbollah stated. Despite the Israeli killing machine's intelligence dominance and overwhelming firepower, it failed to deter us from rising and continuing our national humanitarian and religious duty to protect and defend the homeland and its people, it added. These fighters will keep their hands on the trigger, remaining vigilant against the enemy's treachery and betrayal because, they've had ceasefires with Israel before, and, well, somebody doesn't really know the definition of ceasefire. That's all I'm going to say. They're pledged to the Secretary General of the Resistance and to its noble, proud, and self-sacrificing people is that we will remain committed to our covenant until our last breath, and our banner will never fail. The ceasefire took effect, as we said this morning, at midnight. The Israeli army had been bombing South Lebanon heavily in the hours leading up to the truce, because that's how they do it, right up to the bitter end. Bomb, 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 bomb. Just minutes before midnight, an airstrike hit Tir Sur, resulting in a massacre. Israeli artillery shelling in the south persisted into the ceasefire. See, they don't know how to ceasefire. Yeah, I know. There you go, Poppy. Yuck, 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 yuck. Ceasefire. They mean, no, you ceasefire, not us. You're silly. We're not going to stop murdering you. You're crazy. Coffee, the elixir of the gods. Since the 10-day ceasefire began, displaced residents of southern Lebanon have been returning to their towns and villages, defying Israel's pledge that Lebanese citizens would not return to their homes until the security of the northern settlements was achieved. There's some stuff there. Residents of the south were seen in footage on social media crossing the Qasamia Bridge near Tyre, which was bombed repeatedly by Israel throughout the war. However, the Israeli army is still present in multiple areas in the south and continues to besiege Bint Jbeil, which Israeli troops failed to capture from the resistance. Hezbollah issued a statement on Thursday night calling on residents to exercise patience and refrain from returning to parts of the south. What has been announced is not the end of the war. It's a truce, a temporary ceasefire, pending the outcome of negotiations. The war may end through talks without a return to military operations, or no agreement may be reached and fighting resumes, said Al-Manar correspondent Samir Al-Hajj Ali. There's still ceasefire in Gaza, which means that they're starving more children, embalming them in the hellfire. Yeah, the white phosphorus, remember that? They're still doing that. What remains constant is what the Secretary General has repeatedly stated: there will be no return to the previous phase in which the enemy carried out attacks without response, and we will not accept any occupation presence on our land. So far, all the objectives of the aggression have failed in both Iran and Lebanon, and none have been achieved. Iran has secured a clear and decisive victory and is therefore imposing its terms in negotiations, including a ceasefire in Lebanon, he added. He also stressed that Israel has not even managed to decisively win the battles of Qiyam and Bint Jbeil after 45 days of bombardment and fighting, let alone larger goals such as occupying the south or disarming resistance. Yeah, that was one of the big deals for Israel, was to disarm Hezbollah. And much like Hamas, they're like, no dice, we're not doing that. An Iranian source told Al Mayadeen on Thursday that Tehran exerted heavy pressure for the Lebanon ceasefire. Last night, we set a final decisive deadline to stop the aggression against Lebanon, the source says. But guess what? That ain't going to stop old BB and the gang. Israeli army prepares for full occupation of South Lebanon. See, it's that greater Israel that you've come to know and, well, not necessarily love. But that's part of it. That's part of the greater Israel project. What are we doing? What happened? Oh, yeah. So the Israeli military is preparing for a full occupation of everything below the Litani River in South Lebanon, Hebrew media said on Wednesday, coinciding with continued efforts to secure the ceasefire in the country. Yeah, we need a ceasefire, but we want that land. We're going to get that land. CBC voter, good to see you. Israel's army has defined 3 core conditions for any agreement: establishing a buffer zone in southern Lebanon up to the Litani River free of Hezbollah presence, maintaining full operational freedom to act against threats, including north of the river, and initiating a long-term process to disarm Hezbollah under U.S. supervision, Israeli news site Ynet reported. Despite the diplomatic efforts, the military has not been instructed to prepare for a ceasefire, and operations continue. Well, I guess they are now, even though... Why would you prepare for a ceasefire? You don't ever uphold it anyway. Preparing for a ceasefire. It's so stupid. The report came after Bibi made a video statement emphasizing that military operations continue without mentioning any of the ceasefire efforts. Netanyahu said there are 2 objectives of the new talks with Lebanon: dismantling Hezbollah and achieving a sustainable peace through strength. Right. In other words, occupation.
Our forces continue to strike Hezbollah. The fighting is focused on Bint Jbeil. We're about to defeat Bint Jbeil. We are essentially about to eliminate this major Hezbollah bastion, he claimed.
He sounds like Trump. I don't mean like his voice sounds, but his rhetoric sounds like Trump. Like, yeah, we're going to do this, and then he doesn't do it. Because he's a fucking liar.
Our forces continue to strike Hezbollah. The fighting is focused on Bint Jbeil.
Okay, we already said that. I hate doing his voice. The premier said he has instructed the Israeli army to expand its occupation in Lebanon towards Mount Hermon, that's Jabal al-Sheikh, in the occupied Syrian Golan Heights. Referring to the direct talks with Lebanon, Netanyahu said this negotiation has... Oh, I gotta do the voice again.
This negotiation has not taken place for more than 40 years. It is happening now because we are very strong and countries are coming to us.
Nobody's coming to you. If anything, they're running away from you. The report coincided with the continuation of major battles between Hezbollah and invading Israeli ground troops in the south. The resistance has inflicted heavy losses on Israeli forces attempting to capture the strategic city of Bint Jbeil, which links the eastern and western sectors of South Lebanon. Beirut recently rejected Iran's efforts to include Lebanon in the 2-week ceasefire announced by Washington and Tehran on April 8th. The U.S. initially claimed Lebanon was not included after accepting a 10-point Iranian plan, including a Lebanese ceasefire. Yeah, the dumbasses in the Lebanese government are like, we don't want to be part of that ceasefire. What are you talking about? We can do our own thing. Like, okay. All right. Where's your ass? Oh, look, they handed it to you. Sorry. Despite this, Tehran continued to exert pressure, resulting in a halt to Israeli attacks on the Lebanese capital. Efforts are still underway for a full ceasefire in Lebanon, like a real one. Pakistan's foreign ministry reiterated yesterday that Lebanon remains part of the ongoing ceasefire framework, coinciding with talks in Tehran between Iranian officials and the Pakistani army chief. Okay, so, and apparently Netanyahu and the Lebanese presidents were supposed to speak on the phone. But Lebanese official told Reuters that Beirut had no information about any talks. Meanwhile, Trump said Lebanese and Israeli leaders would speak, describing it as an effort to create breathing room after more than 6 weeks of war between Israel and Hezbollah, adding, "It's been a long time since the two leaders have spoken, like 34 years. It will happen tomorrow." Nice. I guess it did. Oh, 34 years, really? So when Jamar was born. Jamar Jabari. It's his birthday today, by the way. I announced at the top of the show. Yeah, so talky talk, but as they say, money talks, bullshit walks. And they were still blowing up places in Lebanon even after the ceasefire. But the Lebanese government's like, all right. That's why people love the people in Lebanon like Hezbollah more, because they're actually fighting for the people, whereas the Lebanese government are a bunch of cucks and pussies that are just like, oh, we don't want it, we don't want it, we don't want it. I was making a comparison to William Wallace and how he was trying to fight back the English, and he needed the help of the Scottish clans, and they never could get their shit together, and they ended up selling them out. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens here. So how's everybody doing? Anybody sneak in? Any sneakers? I don't see any sneakers. Hang on a second. Gross. Sorry about that if you heard that. Yeah, so that's where that is right now. We're going to get more into the Iran stuff here in just a moment. But back here at home, of course, speaking of cowards. Cowards? There we go. Cowardly bullshit. Handful of Dems joined with Senate GOP to block ban on U.S. bombs, bulldozers to Israel. And I bet you can guess who one of those people were. U.S. senators on Wednesday voted down a pair of resolutions aimed at blocking U.S. bomb and bulldozer sales to Israel as it continues its genocidal war on Gaza and devastating bombardment and mass displacement in Lebanon. Upper chamber lawmakers voted 59-40 against advancing SJ Resolution 32, a joint resolution introduced by Bernie Sanders, providing for congressional disapproval of the proposed foreign military sale to the government of Israel of certain defense articles and services. Hang on just a second. Every time I start this damn show, my head just goes filled up with just God knows what. At issue are $295 million worth of Caterpillar D9 series bulldozers, spare parts, and related services. Israel often uses the bulldozers to destroy homes and other civilian structures in Gaza, the illegally occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem and Lebanon. Yeah, just tearing, and the homes, roads, it don't matter. In 2003, American human rights activist Rachel Corrie was crushed to death by a Caterpillar D9 while attempting to stop the demolition of a home in Rafah, Gaza. Entire villages and hamlets have been razed using the dozers as Israel ethnically cleanses the occupied territories to make way for Jewish-only settler colonies, and, of course, that Greater Israel thing we were talking about there, that old thing, that old dang old Greater Israel thing, The SJ Resolution 32 roll call was followed by a 63-36 vote against advancing Resolution 138, which was introduced by Sanders and Senators Chris Van Hollen and Jeff Merkley and Peter Welch. The measure rejects the proposed sale of 12,000 BLU 110 AB general purpose 1,000-pound bomb bodies and associated items and services. Experts point to Israel's use of 1,000 to 2,000-pound bombs in densely populated Gaza and the Israeli military's loosened rules of engagement, effectively allowing unlimited civilian casualties in strikes targeting a single Hamas militant of any rank as a major reason why so many Gazans are being killed and injured. Everybody's Hamas! Yes, when you're a fascist, everyone looks like Hamas. Sanders said on social media after the votes, today more than 80% of the Democratic caucus stood with the American people and voted to block U.S. military aid to Netanyahu and his horrific illegal wars. It's Israel's wars, buddy. It's not just babies. That whole country is psycho. We're making progress, he said. When we started this effort, there were just 11 votes. Now there are 40. There he is right there. Yeah, whatever. Matt Duss, Executive Vice President at the Center for International Policy and a former advisor to Sanders, slammed Democrats like Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Chris Coons out of Delaware. Guess who else is from Delaware? You know who that is. Sleepy Poop, who voted to block the resolutions for their cowardly bullshit. I love that. I love when people curse. You just that honesty just drips. Duss noted that just last September, Coons said that if there is no change in direction from the Israeli administration for the first time, I would seriously consider voting to block arms transfers to Israel. And then the narrator said, Israel, he didn't block transfer to Israel. Israeli behavior has only gotten worse since then, Duss said. Wednesday's votes followed numerous previous failed attempts to limit U.S. arms transfers to Israel since it launched its genocidal retaliation for the Hamas-led attack on October 7, 2023, which has left more than 250,000 Palestinians dead, wounded, or missing. That number's low. The Biden and Trump administrations have lavished Israel with more than $21 billion in armed aid since October 2023, despite the International Criminal Court's issuance of arrest warrants for Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for alleged crimes against humanity and war crimes in Gaza. Yeah. So, your Congress hard at work keeping up fuckery. As it were. Yes, and it is cowardly bullshit. If the Democrats had any sense, which they don't, but if they did, they would get rid of not only Schumer but Jeffries as their leaders, because they're like eyeball deep in AIPAC money. They're totally cucks to Israel, and they'll never do anything against Israel because they got their marching orders. But the Democrats aren't going to do that. They're not going to do that. They've had chances in the past to do that, and they haven't done it. I'm not, I'm just telling you water's wet, sky blue. You guys already know this shit. Is this the same thing? Did it really? I just put two things in there. I'm so stupid. Okay. That is weird. Let me see. Anybody here? Okay. My apologies, folks. I'm a little kerfuffled here. All right, I guess that is the same thing. I thought that was something else. My bad. Never mind. We got breaking news. Guess what? Iran foreign minister says Strait of Hormuz completely open for a limited time. You have to put that disclaimer in tiny words at the bottom, for a limited time. So Iran foreign minister says Strait open, or as Scott Bessent or Besant, whatever his name is, the Treasury Secretary called it the Straits of Vermouth. Not making that up. That's a real thing. Iran has said the Strait of Hormuz is completely open for all commercial vessels and will remain so during the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire. In line with the ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage for all commercial vessels through Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of the ceasefire. That's Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said on the tweeters. A 10-day ceasefire was agreed upon between Israel and Lebanon, though it was unclear whether the armed group Hezbollah, which has been fighting Israel's invasion of the south over the course of the war on Iran, would recognize it. It seems like they are, but they're like, we do not trust you at all. Finger on the trigger. Passage of vessels through the strait will be on the coordinated route as already announced by Ports and Maritime Organization of Iran, or Araghchi added. Trump confirmed in a social media post that the strait was completely open and ready for business in full passage, though he went on to add that the U.S. naval blockade of Iran would remain in full force until Iran reached a deal with the end to the war. And I'm gonna in the propaganda watch, I'm gonna tell you why Iran doesn't really give a shit about their little blockade bullshit. Yeah, I know, right? You go first. No. You go first. A senior Iranian military official told the Iranian state media that only non-military vessels would be allowed to transit the strait with permission from the IRGC Navy. I thought they took out the Navy. Oh, wait, they're still there? So I guess they're just letting more in. The U.S.-Israeli war on Iran, which started back on February 28th, has killed more than 3,000 people. The conflict saw Iran effectively block traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, through which a fifth of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas transits. The liquid natural gas is probably not going to be flowing anytime soon, seeing how the factories, excuse me, or the refineries in Qatar have been blown to hell. The U.S. went on to blockade Iran's ports in the Strait and the Gulf after U.S.-Iran talks in Pakistan failed to reach a breakthrough on Sunday. Al Jazeera is reporting the chances of the U.S. lifting the naval blockade were never particularly high, as the Trump administration sees that as a way of putting more pressure on Iran. Fisher said the main point for Trump was ensuring that Iran had no nuclear weapons. That bullshit. If Iran does not give that assurance, what will, that's not Trump talking. If Iran does give that assurance, what will they get in return? It's a big question. They'll want to know if they give something quite significant. They're getting something in return. Trump said that Israel would no longer bomb Lebanon. Wink, wink, wink. And any U.S. deal with Iran is not contingent on what happens with Lebanon. Israel would not be bombing Lebanon longer. They are prohibited from doing so by the USA. Enough is enough, he declared in a social media post. But nobody gives a fuck what you say, Trump. A spokesperson for the UN peacekeepers in the south said Friday that they had not observed any airstrikes since midnight, but accused the Israeli military of violating airspace and artillery shelling in southern Lebanon. They just can't help themselves. The Israeli military did not immediately comment. According to the agreement shared by the State Department, Israel can act in self-defense. Take a drink. When it's Israel and they say self-defense, take a drink. That's the drinking game. If it's national security, that goes for anybody. Have a drink. Do some day drinking. Israel can act in self-defense against imminent attacks, but cannot carry out offensive operations against southern Lebanon. Let me guess. Cue the false flags. They're coming. It's Flag Day. Merav Zonzin, a senior Israel analyst with the International Crisis Group, told Al Jazeera that direct talks between Lebanon and Israel constituted an important breakthrough, but the prospects of these talks moving towards a more sustainable agreement remains remote. Nevertheless, a diplomatic track that strengthens the Lebanese government and sees a gradual withdrawal of Israeli presence will contribute to weakening Hezbollah politically, Zonzin said. Tell that to the people of Lebanon who are backing them, with a vast majority of the people. They can talk shit all they want, but the people are like, nah, we like Hezbollah. So, is it saying here? Okay, so this tells a little bit more about it, I think. Maybe we can get in there. So Trump thanks Iran for opening Strait of Hormuz as oil prices in free fall. See? It's all about market manipulation. So Iran announced it'll allow passage for all commercial vessels through the strait following the declaration of the 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Trump's going to maintain the blockade. Said it's completely. So, Arachi said it's completely open for the remaining period of the truce on the route approved by the Iranian authorities. The statement marks a significant shift from Iran's previous stance when Tehran prohibited passage for any U.S. or Israeli ship. I guess the commercial vehicles or the commercial boats are fine. The 10-day ceasefire entered into force today following several weeks of fighting, which claimed more than 2,000 lives in Lebanon. So these are what's going on. So he said it's completely open to commercial vessels for the remainder of the ceasefire, which is due to expire on Tuesday. Now, is he talking? I think he's talking about the ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran is up on Tuesday. And this is the part that's got me confused. It's like, so is this opening of the strait going to be for the for as long as the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire is going on, or is it for until the U.S.-Iran ceasefire is over? Because if it's the U.S. ceasefire, what's today, Friday, Saturday, that's only 4 days. So they're going to get 4 days of ships going through there? So the IRGC warned the U.S. and Israel they will face a regret-inducing response if attacks continue. So I guess in regards to Israel and Lebanon. Yeah, and as we said, about almost 2,200 people have been killed and 1.2 million displaced in Lebanon amid Israeli airstrikes and evacuation orders to expand a security zone. So still kind of a hot mess over there. And the next few days are really going to be the telling tale, right? So Tuesday is the end of the 2-week, I think it's the end of the 2-week ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. Because that wouldn't make sense. If it was the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire, which just started today, that's not going to be over till next Tuesday, like the week from Tuesday, I think. Something like that. I don't know. I just report the news. Ships would have to use a coordinated route, Iran says. This route would take ships into Iran's territorial waters, giving Tehran a chance to keep its finger on the trigger. Oh, cool. That's from Al Jazeera. Yeah, and that makes sense. It's not like it's like, you know, it's not Ted Nugent. Honey, I do declare it's a free-for-all. You know, it's not like they're just letting people just go through there like they did before. They're checking people. And so they still kind of have a control on they still have control of the strait, is what I'm saying. It's just they're letting it, I guess they're getting pressure from other countries saying, hey, you know, kind of need some of that go-go juice to go through there, son. Yeah, the good old see you next Tuesday trick. Yeah. But yeah, it's Iran sometimes is just too nice. If I was like the head of Iran, I probably would have just been like, nah, we're just gonna go balls to the wall till we clear out all these rats. When we get the US, when we get Israel, all these rats out of here, and now these Gulf states will have to deal with us, you know, even though they're getting their own like defense packages with other countries, I believe. Like one of them's with Ukraine, the other one is another one's with Pakistan. So they're getting away from the US quote unquote protection that doesn't exist because Iran showed that the US can't protect those countries like that. So anywho, what else we got here? So of course, you know, there's been this battle to get Trump reined in with the War Powers Act. Since he has to, if it's a war, he has to declare war and Congress has to approve it. Meanwhile, Senate again blocks effort to limit President Trump's war powers in Iran. And that's only part of it. The U.S. Senate once again rejected a Democratic-led resolution aimed at limiting Trump's war powers in Iran, marking the fourth failed attempt to pass the measure. Republicans blocked the resolution in a 52-47 vote. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said Democrats plan to force a vote. You do. You're going to force a vote. You're so cute when you're little. On the measure every week for the foreseeable future. For this, yes. But to not send bombs and caterpillars to Israel, no dice. Not getting into that. Some Republican senators have indicated that they may support the resolution once the conflict reaches the 60-day mark. Following the vote, Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal sharply criticized Republican opposition, warning of political consequences. Republicans are going to be held accountable now and in November for their unquestioning support for a war of impulse and illusion that is costing Americans literally billions of dollars, Blumenthal said. He also emphasized Congress's constitutional role in matters of war, saying, ultimately, the principles of Congress declaring war and only Congress required to be approving it is one that they need to uphold. So that's in the Senate. Let's go to the House where one lone Democrat, Jared Golden, that's your boy right there, helps GOP tank another Iran war powers resolution. We can't have nice things, folks. We can't have nice things. Like peace. Can't have that. We good? Okay, so far so good. Yeah. I ended that. This is my 10th one. I should get a sandwich. He thinks it's like a punch card at Subway, right? He got his 10th war, but he didn't do anything. With the decisive support of one Democrat, Representative Jared Golden of Maine, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives on Thursday voted down a war powers resolution aimed at ending Trump's illegal assault on Iran over 6 weeks after it began. The final vote was 23-2014, with the Democrats missing the extra point to tie it up. Sorry, that's a football reference. With Representative Thomas Massey, of course, Republican out of Kentucky, joining nearly every House Democrat in supporting the resolution, which would have forced Trump to withdraw American troops from hostilities in Iran absent congressional authority. Representative Warren Davidson out of Ohio voted present, and Representative Nancy Mace, the UFO lady, the Republican out of South Carolina, didn't vote, despite criticizing the war and telling reporters last month that she would most likely support the Democratic resolution until it came time to vote for it. That's the thing. The old kayfabe. We had our rotating villains here. This is our newest rotating villain. Is this jackass right there? And I don't know who these fuckers are. What are we doing? In the lead up to the vote, Democratic leaders, including the resolution's chief sponsor, Representative Gregory Meeks of New York, faced backlash for slow walking the legislative effort to end the war, even as it appeared that momentum was on their side. Earlier this month, the House Democratic leadership opted to punt the war powers vote until after spring recess. Got to get down to Fort Lauderdale, work on the tan, and chase the ladies. During which the Trump administration and Iran's government reached a tenuous ceasefire deal. 3 of the 4 House Democrats who voted against an Iran war powers resolution in early March flipped their votes on Thursday. Look at that. Henry Cuellar. I guess the Democrats paid him more money. Out of Texas, Greg Landsman of Ohio, Juan Vargas of California. Wait a minute. That's 3 of the 4. Okay. Golden, who also voted against the earlier resolution, is not running for re-election. See, that's how they do it. They get people who aren't who aren't going to be running for re-election. They're like, go hog wild. Make sure you fuck everything up. Indeed, peace is bad for business. While we are encouraged to see growing support, said Demand Progress Senior Policy Advisor Kavan Karazian, it is deeply disappointing that Representative Golden joined Republicans in opposing efforts to stop further escalation, casting a decisive vote against the resolution. Let me guess. Golden is probably going to end up being like a lobbyist, or he's going to end up working for one of these military contractor companies. That's probably what's going to happen. Democratic leadership's handling of this moment is also concerning. They had previously declined to force a wars powers vote before a critical period of escalation before recess, citing a lack of votes. That would be Hakeem Jeffries pulling that bullshit. Now they have moved forward under less favorable conditions, including during sensitive ceasefire negotiations, but still without the votes they previously claimed were necessary before proceeding, and with a changed balance in the House. That inconsistency raises a serious question about what is driving leadership's priorities, strategy or politics. Israel. APAC. Sorry about that. Choked up. Coffee, you are my lover. What's up, Chuck? Sorry you're late. All of Elmo's satellites were square dancing up here to fix their internet lag, and I had to. All right. Be careful up there. Fly safe. We urge members of Congress, Democrats and Republicans alike, to support sustained diplomatic efforts to resolve this conflict. Karazian added, the American people overwhelmingly reject this war and want a diplomatic end to it. And it's not just like all of America, like half of MAGA is like, the fuck? The House vote marked the 6th time an Iran-related war powers resolution has failed in the House or Senate since Trump started bombing. Representative Mark Pocan, Democrat out of Wisconsin, said Thursday that he supported the war powers effort on Thursday because Trump's war of choice was not authorized by Congress, was started without a plan or an exit strategy, and has achieved none of the contradictory objectives used to justify it. Trump's war in Iran is deeply unpopular, Pocan said, and it's time to end what never should have started. Well, how do you feel about Israel? Crickets, crickets, crickets. Ryan Costello, policy director with the National Iranian American Council, said in a statement that the narrow defeat of a resolution to definitively end the war on Iran is another tragic missed opportunity, but the gap between public opposition to the war and votes to end it is narrowing. All but one House Democrat voted unanimously in support of the resolution, but were joined by just one Republican, said Costello. Golden will need to answer to his main constituents, many of whom are veterans and pro-peace Americans who question why Washington so consistently sends brave service members into ill-advised, disastrous wars of choice that kill civilians and sabotage the global economy. So, too, do all of the Republicans who chose again not to use their power to convince Trump to take an off-ramp and end this disastrous war that puts Netanyahu's dreams, not the American people and American security, first. Yeah, he's going to have to answer to his constituents. He's not running for re-election. What is this? We just started. May, June, July, August, September, October, November. He's only got 7 months left in office, right? He's not going to be doing that shit. It's terrible. It's terrible. But yeah, it's part of that kayfabe. It's part of that theater. So we can't have this pass. And then the one guy says, I'll fuck it up. Good news. Always be skeptical when it comes to Syria. Syria declares end of U.S. mission as last troops leave the country. Here they are leaving. There's like 4 of them. No, I'm kidding. It's more than that. Syrian government forces took control of the last U.S. base in the country on yesterday, in a move that marked the end of the U.S. occupation of the country under the pretext of fighting ISIS. Yeah, under the bullshit pretext of fighting ISIS. The group that they created. The Syrian military moved into the Kasrak base in Hasaka Governorate in northeastern Syria on Thursday following the U.S. withdrawal. The U.S. withdrew from its bases in Shadadi in eastern Syria and Al-Tanf on the Syria-Jordan-Iraq border in February. The Syrian Foreign Ministry said Washington has decided to complete its military mission in the country. The Syrian state is today fully capable of leading counterterrorism efforts from within in cooperation with the international community, it said, and also feels great about being an American puppet. Wait, what? Oh, I'm sorry. An Israeli puppet? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. An American and Israeli puppet. That's what I meant to say. So, the ministry welcomes the completed handover of military sites where U.S. forces were previously present in Syria to the Syrian government, adding that the handover of these sites was carried out in full coordination between the Syrian and American governments. U.S. Central Command announced it had completed the process of turning over all of our major bases in Syria. It said U.S. forces continue to support partner-led counterterrorism efforts in a reference to ISIS. U.S. troops first occupied northeast Syria during the 14-year war to topple the government of former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The U.S. military claimed its occupation of Syrian territory was necessary to contain ISIS, despite Washington's covert support for the terror group during the war. See how that works? U.S. troops helped deny Assad's government the oil resources needed to rebuild the country and to withstand U.S. economic sanctions. Self-appointed Syrian President Ahmad al-Sharaa, who came to power in December 2024 in Damascus with U.S. support, is himself a former ISIS commander who went by the nom de guerre Abu Muhammad al-Jilani, which sounds like a great place to get, frozen yogurt. Before withdrawing, U.S. forces relocated thousands of ISIS prisoners from Syria to Iraq amid fighting between Shara's forces and Kurdish fighters from the Syrian Democratic Forces, the SDF. The U.S. had partnered with the SDF to occupy northeast Syria before shifting to partner with Shara's forces in Damascus in January. Of course, ding, 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 ding. The house always wins. The house always wins. That's right. And if you win, you got to get the hell out. Back here at home, because the U.S. loves blowing up people. Did I do that? Oh, okay. I thought I did that. U.S. dramatically ramps up bombing campaign against small boats in the waters of Latin America. It's another one from antiwar.com. Be sure you're checking out antiwar.com. They do great news aggregation. They have their own journalists there as well reporting. It's good stuff. Please support independent journalism. Be skeptical of everybody, but these guys, if you can help them out, that'd be good. So the U.S. military has dramatically ramped up its bombing campaign against small boats in the waters of Latin America. Why? Because that's what they do. In recent days, amid the very fragile ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran, and as it prepares for a potential attack on Cuba, they're probably going to do that too. It's probably going to happen. According to press releases from U.S. Southern Command, I think that's SOCOM, the U.S. has blowed up 5 boats in the Eastern Pacific Ocean in 5 days from April 11th to the 15th. In none of the cases has the command offered any evidence to back up its claims that the boats were running drugs, something the Pentagon has never done since the bombing campaign started in September 2025. And if there is any justice in this world, the "I was just following orders" people will get theirs. Oh, it's Southcom. That's what it is. So Southcom said that the latest strike launched on Wednesday killed 3 people. It labeled the dead as narco-terrorists, even though they didn't know if they were or not. A term Trump administration uses in its attempts to justify what are extrajudicial executions for an alleged crime that doesn't receive the death penalty in the U.S. According to numbers from The Intercept, the latest strikes brings the total number of boats that have been destroyed to 53, and the total number of people who've been killed in the campaign to 178. They're murdering at a relentless pace, Intercept reporter Nick Terse said on a post in a post on the tweeters Wednesday. All of the people killed have been civilians since they were operating civilian vessels, were not engaged in combat, and didn't pose any threat to the U.S. at the time of the strikes. Yet, boom, 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 boom. Last month, the U.S. military escalated its campaign in Latin America by supporting Ecuador against alleged drug targets in Ecuador. That's weird. An effort dubbed Operation Total Extermination. According to a report from the New York Times, one of the first operations involved bombing what the U.S. and Ecuador claimed was a drug camp, but turned out to be a dairy farm. Unless you think cheese is a drug. It probably is, because I'm addicted to cheese. I love me some cheese. Raising questions about the credibility of the U.S. military's intelligence in the region, or anywhere else. See the bomb schools in Iran. And claims about what it's targeting. The U.S. military operations in the region also included the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro back on January 3rd. The U.S. assault on Venezuela killed 83 people, including 4 civilians. So, more boats. More boats. They keep ramping this up. Nobody's stopping them. Nobody's stopping them. Yeah. Yeah, it's gambling, and none of us are winning. We're gonna keep this up. We're just gonna let them do whatever they want. It's up to us to stop them. They're not gonna stop themselves. You're not gonna vote your way out of this stuff. We haven't talked about this, I don't think, and hadn't been spoken about in a while, but the old surveillance of the United States. Delicious, right? Senate extends surveillance powers until April 30th after longer renewal collapsed in House. The Senate approved a short-term renewal until April 30th, which is another 13 days, less than 2 weeks, of a controversial surveillance program used by the U.S. spy agencies following a chaotic post-midnight scramble in the House to keep the authority from expiring. The measure cleared the Senate by voice vote without a formal roll call as Congress raced to meet a Monday deadline. It now heads to Trump, who had pushed for a clean 18-month extension for his signature. GOP leaders in the House rushed lawmakers back into session late Thursday with a series of back-to-back votes that collapsed in dramatic failure before they quickly pushed ahead the stopgap measure as they raced to keep the surveillance program running past Monday's expiration date. Yay, surveillance for you and me. First, they unveiled a new plan that would have extended the program for 5 years with revisions. Then they tried to salvage a shorter 18-month renewal that Trump had demanded, and Speaker Mike Johnson had previously backed. Some 20 Republicans joined most Democrats in blocking its advance. Shortly after 2 a.m., they quickly agreed to the 10-day extension, which was agreed to on a voice vote without a formal roll call. It next goes to the Senate, which is gaveling for a rare Friday session as Congress races to keep the surveillance program running. These are the people that you voted for, that you voted for, that you voted for. Sorry, that's a paraphrasing Sesame Street song. We're very close tonight, said Johnson after the late night action. I'm very sure he's used to late night action. But Democrats blasted the middle of the night voting as amateur hour. Yeah, there you shouldn't be talking about amateur hour to other people, but yeah, I see your point. Are you kidding me? Who the hell's running this place? Said Representative Jim McGovern, Democrat out of Massachusetts, during a fiery floor debate. At the center of the standoff that is stretched throughout the week is Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, which permits the CIA, NSA, FBI, and other agencies to collect and analyze vast amounts of overseas communications without a warrant. In doing so, they can incidentally, sweep up communications involving Americans who interact with foreign targets. Oh, my bad, dog, bro. At the center of the stand, okay. U.S. officials say the authority is critical to disrupting terrorist plots, cyber intrusions, and foreign espionage. Its path to passage has teetered all week in a familiar fight as lawmakers weigh civil liberties concerns against intelligence officials' warnings about national security risks. Take a drink. Take a drink. Are you thirsty? Day drinking. It's noon here. Have a drink. Opponents of the surveillance tool point to past misuses, to say the least. FBI officials repeatedly violated their own standards when searching intelligence related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol and racial justice protests in 2020, according to a 2024 court order. Trump and his allies had lobbied aggressively all week for a clean renewal of the program without changes. A group of Republicans traveled to the White House on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, CIA Director John Ratcliffe spoke directly with GOP lawmakers. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise said Thursday there had been negotiations late into the night with the White House and some of our members. I'm asking Republicans to unify and vote together on the test vote to bring a clean bill to the floor, Trump wrote on Truth Social this week. We need to stick together. Thursday's proceedings came to a standstill as lawmakers retreated behind closed doors, and Johnson reached for an agreement to resolve the standoff. Shortly before midnight, GOP leaders announced a new proposal, a 5-year extension with revisions. The changes were designed to win over skeptics of the surveillance program who have demanded greater oversight to protect Americans' privacy. Yeah, remember that? Remember Americans' privacy? That used to be a thing, like, back in the Stone Age when we were knocking rocks together to make fire. Among the changes are new provisions to ensure that only FBI attorneys can authorize queries on U.S. persons and to require the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, that would be Tulsi's office, to review such cases, said Representative Austin Scott during the debate. But the final product, a 14-page amendment, did not go far enough for some holdouts in either party. With Johnson controlling a slim majority, he has little room for dissent as the Republicans fell short on both efforts before the short extension. A handful of Democrats stepped in to try to help them advance the longer extension, but most Democrats were opposed. And that was probably the usual suspects there. We just defeated Johnson's efforts to sneak through a 5-year FISA authorization tonight, said Ro Khanna. Now they will have to fight in daylight. Yeah, they'll have to fight in daylight, but we'll see. I don't think that's going to happen. They're gonna fight in daylight. You're so silly. In Minnesota prosecutors slap ICE agent with 2 felony assault charges. What? Here we go. Oh, yeah, where the Joker said, and here we go. Hopefully, maybe Minnesota is going to be the powder keg that gets this party started. Prosecutors in Minnesota charged a federal ICE enforcement agent with assault on Thursday for pulling a gun on 2 local residents during a February traffic dispute. The Hennepin County Prosecutor's Office charged U.S. ICE Officer Gregory Donald Morgan Jr., a resident of, when they use all three names, that usually means they're like some sort of serial killer or something like that. Just saying. A resident of Maryland with 2 counts of felony assault for the incident that took place along Highway 62 on February 5th. Still no word on the people who got murdered, though. During a press conference, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty alleged that Morgan was driving a rented, unmarked Ford Expedition illegally along the shoulder of Highway 62. The alleged victims, objecting to Morgan illegally driving on the highway shoulder, swerved in front of him briefly to block him, then pulled back into the regular lane. Morgan then allegedly sped up his vehicle, pulled up alongside the victim's car, and drew his gun on them. Moriarty said that Morgan's alleged actions were unjustified and outside the course of his duties. Murder is too, just a friendly reminder there. Which would be enough for the state to avoid violating the U.S. Constitution's supremacy clause that prevents state governments from infringing upon the federal government's sovereignty. Our opinion is that illegally driving on a shoulder, pulling up to a car, and pointing a gun at the heads of 2 community members who are not doing anything at the time is well, excuse me, hang on a second. Had a hanger there. Is well beyond the scope of their authority as federal agents, said Moriarty. So is murder. So they may say that, but we will litigate that in court, and there is no such thing as absolute immunity for federal agents who violate the law in the state of Minnesota or any other state. What about murder? Moriarty also brushed off concerns about the federal government retaliating against Minnesota for criminally charging ICE agents. Not a concern of ours, she said. Our role, by the way, is to hold people accountable if they violate the laws of the state of Minnesota, and in this particular case, we feel strongly that this agent committed second-degree assault against both of these victims. We have charged the case, and our intent is to hold them accountable. The case against Morgan is the first state prosecution related to Operation Metro Surge, the federal immigration enforcement operation that targeted the Twin Cities earlier this year and generated unprecedented mass protests that included a one-day general strike. One-day general strike, come on. Parade. Morgan's prosecution may also be a preview of future cases, as there have been calls for months to prosecute the federal immigration officers who fatally shot Minneapolis residents Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Where are those prosecutions? Where the fuck are those prosecutions? While speaking with reporters, Moriarty emphasized that today's charges reflect an important milestone in our efforts to seek accountability for the harms inflicted on our community during Operation Metro Surge, vowing we will not rest until we get the answers we seek about federal agent conduct across Hennepin County, and accountability is delivered wherever appropriate. What about murder? They seem to be able to get him on this stuff, but they can't get him on murder. What is it, like Capone? They couldn't get him on murder and stuff like that, so they got him on tax evasion. Is that the workaround we're doing here? Unbelievable. So we go back to Congress. And of course, a couple of congressmen have resigned because they're perverts, at the very least. AOC and Boebert joined calls for sexual misconduct accountability in Congress. How about other misconduct accountability in Congress besides, in addition to that? Lawmakers from across the political spectrum have called for more accountability for sexual misconduct in Congress this week after 2 U.S. representatives resigned amid a deluge of accusations. Underscoring the bipartisan nature of the calls, both Democratic AOC, a high-profile progressive, well, a high-profile Democrat, call her progressive, and Republican Lauren Boebert, a standard bearer of Trump's Make America Great Again movement, and Queen of the Hand Jobs, were among those calling for higher scrutiny and punishment for those accused of sexual misconduct. On Monday, both Eric Swalwell, a Democrat from California, and Tony Gonzalez, a Republican from Texas, announced their resignations amid sexual misconduct allegations. Two representatives, Republican Anna Paulina Luna, I think isn't she the UFO lady, and Democrat Teresa Leger Fernandez told CBS News earlier this week that they were preparing to introduce resolutions to expel both Swalwell and Gonzalez. I guess that's not going to happen since they resigned. That's probably why they resigned, because they knew that was coming. They created the pressure campaign with both men's decisions to voluntarily leave the chamber, saying they were willing to replicate the tactic against other members of Congress facing sexual misconduct and ethics investigations. The issue has represented a rare area of bipartisan cooperation in the U.S. Congress. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, the kayfabe, which has remained deeply polarized in recent years. Republicans currently control 218 seats to 213 controlled by Democrats in the chamber. Underlining the broad unity on the issue have been statements from AOC and Boebert, who represent the leftward and rightward flanks of their parties. Let's put leftward in quotes, respectively, and have long been portrayed by their critics as firebrands. Yeah. AOC called the resignations an important turning point. She said the abuse of power should never be accepted, and above all, in public office. And so I think this is an important resetting point for the institution, but I don't think our work is done. Going further, AOC on Wednesday named Republican Corey Mills, who remains under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for sexual misconduct and campaign finance, as the next lawmaker who should resign. All right, here come the witch hunts. They're going for everybody. Now, yeah, I mean, if they're accused, yes, there's something to that. But again, I'm not defending people who do this kind of stuff. I'm just saying they haven't been convicted of it. So to go after somebody like that hasn't been convicted yet is very dicey, to say the least. Yeah, I know, right? The ruckus turned into the fuckus. That's what happened there. Was it this AOC talking? Yeah.
I'm glad that Eric Swalwell is leaving. I'm glad that Tony Gonzalez is leaving. Frankly, I think Corey Mills should be on that list as well.
She cackled. Boebert, meanwhile, said in a post on the tweeters that she was pursuing efforts to strip Swalwell and Gonzalez of their federal pensions. That's right. They get now, and they get that nice, sweet pension and the health care. They still get the health care, too. In another video, she urged those facing harassment in Congress to speak to her directly. If your boss is mistreating you or someone else in the office, tell somebody. Come to my office. If you want to remain anonymous, she said. Let one of us loudmouths get it out there for you. Well, at least she admits she's a loudmouth. AOC Pelosi, what's up, Zell? Good to see you. Another woman identified as a former staffer had previously told CNN that Swalwell raped her in a New York City hotel in 2024. Three other women told U.S. news outlets that they had received inappropriate messages from Swalwell. He was also running for, Swalwell has pointed to mistakes in judgment. Man, that was a bad call on my part. What? But has denied taking part in any sexual abuse. He criticized his fellow lawmakers for moving to expel him without due process, while his lawyer has maintained that the allegations against him are politically motivated. A day before resigning from Congress, he announced he was also dropping out of the California gubernatorial race, in which polls showed him as a frontrunner. Gonzalez had admitted to having an affair with a staff member in 2024. The woman subsequently committed suicide. The House Code of Conduct prohibits lawmakers from having sexual relationship with staff members. It also prohibits them from doing insider trading, but I guess that's, man. Despite the admission, Gonzalez had resisted calls to resign for months. Several lawmakers have used the resignation to highlight a culture of silence in Congress regarding the conduct of their colleagues. Speaking to the AP news agency, Jackie Speer, a Democrat from California, condemned the tendency for Congress to basically look the other way. She called on both Republican and Democratic leadership to really tighten the rules and create a safe environment for these women to report. Some have likened the calls for greater accountability to the bipartisan push to compel the Trump administration to release investigative documents related to billionaire financier Jeffrey Epstein, the Epstein Files. The White House initially resisted the calls, but Trump eventually signed legislation. You know, all that stuff. Speaking to CBS News, Luna and Leger Fernandez, the lawmakers who led the push against Swalwell and Gonzalez, said they were also scrutinizing Republican Mills and Democrat Sheila Cherfilis. Yeah, I always fuck up her name. I'm sorry. Sheila Cherfilis McCormick, who had been charged with illegally diverting federal funds to her campaign. Cherfilis McCormick has not been accused of any sexual misconduct. Leger Fernandez said they hope to combat a culture of impunity. We're going to hold men accountable, and we will not let women continue to be silenced, she said. Good stuff, but keep it going. Keep it going. Don't stop at, like, sexual misconduct. There needs to be a purging. I don't think it'll ever happen because there's too many people involved. It would be like saying, hey, we need, Congress, we need you to vote yourself a pay decrease. And they'll be like, what? We need you to vote for term limits. What? We're not doing that shit. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, but that just shows, it goes to show how many creeps there are in Washington anyway. This is just a sad story out of Virginia, here, among other sad stories out of Virginia, as Virginia ex-Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax kills wife and himself. This is the Lieutenant Governor at one point. Virginia's former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax has shot and killed his wife before taking his own life in an apparent murder-suicide, according to authorities in the U.S. The 47-year-old politician and his wife, 49-year-old dentist Serena Fairfax, were found dead in their home in the Washington, D.C. suburb of Annandale in Northern Virginia. Their teenage son called the police shortly after midnight to report the crime. God, the kids were in the house, too. Fairfax County Police Chief Kevin Davis said on Thursday that the incident appears to have been related to the couple's ongoing divorce. It's very sad for this community, Davis said. A lot of people who know the Fairfax family, everybody's shocked. We're shocked. The AP reported that Serena and Justin Fairfax had separated in 2024 and filed for divorce last year, citing a court filing. Police indicated on Thursday that they were still living in the same home with their two children, both of whom were at home at the time of the shootings. Ugh. Poor kids. Fairfax was recently served some paperwork associated with an upcoming court proceeding, Davis explained. That apparently led to this incident. He added that Fairfax's wife had installed cameras in the home and that the former lieutenant governor had called the police in January stating that his wife had assaulted him. Footage from the cameras disproved that claim, according to Davis. Fairfax, once seen as an up-and-coming figure in the state's Democratic Party, faced allegations of sexual assault starting in 2019 when he was serving as lieutenant governor. Despite resignations from his staff and calls to step down, Fairfax stayed on and served out the remainder of his term until 2022. He denounced the allegations against him as false. He ran for governor in 2021, but largely disappeared from politics after winning less than 4% of the vote. Thursday's incident shocked Virginia, with officials expressing condolences for the family of the victims. We're keeping Serena and Justin Fairfax's family, especially their two children, in our prayers. Here we go, thoughts and prayers, as we all process this shocking and horrifying news. Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, Virginia's representatives in the U.S. Senate, said in a joint statement. The current Lieutenant Governor, Ghazala Hashmi, also called the news devastating. My thoughts are with their children, loved ones, and numerous friends, along with so many in the Virginia Commonwealth. I am filled with sorrow. Yeah. Anybody wants to live in the D.C. area, oof. That place just poisons you. Even in the suburbs, even in Virginia, it just poisons you, right? And like I said, those poor kids, man, they were in the house when that shit happens. Yeah. So, Finally, in our news block, this isn't usually something I cover, but I figured this was important because we have a lot of music people that watch this show. I mean, and by music people, some of them are musicians, and some of them are, you know, they're concert goers. They go to a lot of concerts and have to deal with like things like Live Nation and Ticketmaster for their tickets. But this happened. Live Nation and Ticketmaster had monopoly over big venues, according to a U.S. jury. The concert giant Live Nation and its Ticketmaster subsidiary has a harmful monopoly over big concert venues, a Manhattan federal jury has found, dealing the company a loss in a lawsuit over claims brought by dozens of U.S. states. The jury deliberated for 4 days before reaching its decision on Wednesday in the closely watched case, which helped peel back the curtain on a business that dominates live entertainment across much of the world. Live Nation Entertainment owns, operates, controls booking for, and has an equity interest in hundreds of venues. Its Ticketmaster booking platform is widely considered to be the world's largest ticket seller for live events, from music to sports. The civil case, initially led by the U.S. federal government, accused Live Nation of using its reach to smother competition by blocking venues from using multiple ticket sellers or retaliating against them when they did, for example. It's time to hold them accountable, Jeffrey Kessler said, an attorney for the states, in a closing argument, calling Live Nation a monopolistic bully that drove up prices for ticket buyers. The jury found that Ticketmaster had overcharged buyers by $1.72 a ticket. The judge still needs to decide total damages. That's probably the minimum. I'm sure it's much more than that. I'm with you, Kate. Last time I went to a big venue was in New York at Citi Field, and it just 16 for a tall boy of Bud Light. $16, and that was just the concessions. The tickets, yeah. I think we ended up getting like a discount on the tickets or something. That was the only reason we went. Live Nation insisted it was not a monopoly, saying that artists, sports teams, and venues decide prices and ticketing practices. A company lawyer insisted its size was simply a function of excellence and effort. Success is not against the antitrust laws in the U.S., David Marriott, an attorney, said in his summation. Live Nation has said in a statement that it plans to appeal the ruling. We remain confident that the ultimate outcome of the state's case will not be materially different than what is envisioned by the DOJ settlement, the statement said. Ticketmaster was established in 1976. Wow, 50 years. 50 years of fuckery, and merged with Live Nation in 2010. The company now controls 86% of the market for concerts and 73% of the overall market when sports events are included, according to Kessler. Live Nation noted in its 2023 securities filings that it is the largest live entertainment company, producer of live music concerts, and live entertainment ticketing, sales, and marketing company in the world. Its business brings in over $22 billion in yearly revenue. Ticketmaster has long drawn ire from fans and some artists. Grunge rock titans Pearl Jam battled the business in the 90s, even filing an anti-monopoly complaint with the DOJ, which declined to bring a case then. Gee, I wonder why. Money. Decades later, the Justice Department, joined by dozens of states, brought the current lawsuit during Joe Biden's administration. Days into the trial, Trump's administration announced it was settling its claims against Live Nation. That agreement required Live Nation to create a $280 million settlement fund for states that participated in the lawsuit. The deal also included a cap on service fees at some amphitheaters, plus some new ticket selling options for promoters and venues, potentially allowing but not requiring them to open doors to Ticketmaster competitors such as SeatGeek or AXS. But the settlement does not force Live Nation to split from Ticketmaster. A handful of the states joined the settlement, but more than 30 pressed ahead with the trial, saying the federal government had not won enough concessions from Live Nation. The trial brought the Live Nation CEO, Michael Rapino, to the witness stand where he was questioned about matters including the company's Taylor Swift ticket debacle in 2022. Rapinoe blamed a cyber attack. Sure. The proceedings also aired a Live Nation executive's internal messages declaring some prices outrageous, calling customers, quote, so stupid, and boasting about the company robbing them blind, baby, quotes. The executive, Benjamin Baker, apologetically testified that the messages were very immature and unacceptable. The Federal Trade Commission imposed a requirement on Ticketmaster last May to disclose concert ticket fees up front. In response, the company eliminated a processing fee it would charge at the end of a transaction, but a Guardian investigation found that Ticketmaster raised other fees to make sure it didn't lose money. See how that works? Oh, yeah, we're dropping those fees, and we're going to raise them fucking these other ones. We're going to get that bag, y'all. Fuckers. I love going to concerts, too, but it's just way too expensive. To account for the loss of order processing revenue, we must adjust fees to offset the revenue loss, Ticketmaster wrote in an email to the Findlay Toyota Center in Arizona last year. We must. If we want to continue to be greedy cocksuckers, that's what we got to do. We've got to do that. Former regulators told The Guardian the company may be running afoul of the FTC's ban on misleading fees. U.S. senators have criticized Ticketmaster, except for the New York ones, for what they see as ignoring consumer protection laws. Ticketmaster has taken every opportunity to drive bait-and-switch practices, manipulate the market, and drive up the cost of tickets, said Richard Blumenthal, Democratic senator from Connecticut. Yeah, and as somebody who back in the day, I used to go to concerts all the time back in the 90s, right? Some of them, a lot of times I got to go free because I worked in radio at the time, and that's always a sweet deal. Nice perk if you can get it. But like some of these, just used to, you could go straight to the venue box office, like the large venues, right? I'm not talking about smaller ones. The large venue box office and buy tickets directly to them. You didn't have to deal with Ticketmaster if you didn't have to. And even like back then, the fees weren't that high, and all of a sudden, boom. Is something wrong with you, Kate? You okay? All right. You're going to a concert on Tuesday in Durham, North Carolina? Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Fees. You look at a concert ticket now, or even like if you're going to a sports event, right? You're going to a football game or something like that. Look at it. Fees. Like, what the fuck's going on here? Anyway, we'll keep an eye on that and see if they do appeal. But, I figured I'd put that in there for all my music peeps out there. Oh, you're going to see the Chameleons. Nice. Yeah. Okay. So, as we said, the Strait of Hormuz is open for now, for a limited time. It'll be around as long as the McRib is around. No, I'm just kidding. Shorter time than that. And the U.S. has been saying, they got the blockade on the Iranian ports. So like, well, they're not going to get out of here. They're not going anywhere. These Iranian ships are not going to go anywhere. We got a blockade. We got them surrounded. We got everybody. We got them. And Iran said, hold my petro.
Sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same things are true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Iran ships 11 million barrels of oil since launch of Washington's Hormuz blockade. Womp womp. Yeah, just to follow up on that other thing. Yeah, this is not all venues that use Ticketmaster, right? But Willie's talking about he had a $5 fee attached to his ticket. It's it was $36 total. Willie, was that the total price of your ticket, or was that $36 in addition? I remember when $20 You could go $20. You could get a t-shirt and a ticket. Not anymore. I'm old. So yeah, more bullshit. Iranian oil shipments have continued moving through Persian Gulf waters despite a U.S.-imposed naval blockade, Iran's Fars news agency reported yesterday, with multiple tracking sources reporting tanker activity in and around the Strait of Hormuz and the Sea of Oman in recent days. Fars reported that Iranian tankers transported around 11 million barrels of oil through the Sea of Oman toward undisclosed destinations after U.S. President and shithead Donald Trump announced a blockade targeting vessels entering or leaving Iranian ports. Citing a ship tracking website, the Iranian news outlet said this marked the first time shipments linked to Iran exited the blockade zone since its imposition. The agency added that earlier breaches had occurred through vessels approaching the Gulf from international waters. TankTrackers.com said it had visual confirmation that Iran shipped 9 million barrels from floating storage in the Gulf of Oman after the blockade began, with an additional 2 million barrels departing just before its enforcement. Separate ship tracking data cited by Bloomberg showed that at least 2 U.S. sanctioned vessels linked to Iran entered the Persian Gulf on Thursday using a route between Iran's Larak and Keshem Islands. One of the vessels, a supertanker capable of carrying up to 2 million barrels, entered empty and signaled it was awaiting further instructions. Maritime intelligence firm Windward reported that vessel movements between between April 14th and 15th indicate continued Iranian-linked activity, describing one tanker's route as likely blockade-breaking movement. It added that export operations remain active, supported by loading at Karg Island and tactics such as spoofing and reducing visibility. The Pentagon said that the U.S. Navy has turned back 13 ships since enforcing a blockade on Iranian ports, warning vessels they would be boarded or face force if they attempted to pass. The U.S. recently announced new sanctions on April 16th, targeting Iran's oil sector, focusing on a shipping network linked to Mohammed Hassan Shamkhani, with measures imposed on over 24 individuals, companies, and vessels accused of evading restrictions. This ghoul. U.S. officials said the move aims to curb Iran's oil revenues as Tehran maintains control of the strait in response to the war, while Washington continues its naval blockade and expands financial pressure through additional sanctions tied to alleged oil for gold schemes and support networks. So they've been getting through. They're saying, oh, we got a blockade, we got a blockade. No, you don't. It's why you have to find, I like the Cradle, the cradle.co is a good news website, independent journalism there. They're going to be, I think they have some sort of financial support, but by the end of the year, they're going to be just fully reader funded. So again, as always, any news source, be skeptical, but so far so good. The Cradle, they do a live news show every day too. In fact, they may be doing one right now. So I would suggest checking them out for a possible news source for yourself if you're into that sort of thing. JD Vance, our vice president, is a bit of a fibber. Can we say that? When he said that, we never said that Lebanon was part of the ceasefire. Well, yeah, you did. You did. Willie, you paid $20 for a 32-ounce. Yeah, I know. It's highway robbery. Like Kate says, go to local venues, go to bars, go see bands there. That's the best thing. These big-ass venues are just bullshit. So now Vance has got caught fibbing, allegedly. Vance criticized for inaccurate claim that Gaza aid is highest in 5 years. He's been hanging around his boss too long. Gaza's de facto authorities have criticized J.D. Vance for inaccurate and misleading claims that more humanitarian aid is entering the Strip now than at any point in the past 5 years. Speaking at a Talking Point USA event on Tuesday, Vance said this has been achieved because we have taken that situation seriously. I have aid in my beard. Gaza's government media office condemned the remarks on Wednesday, saying they bear no relation to reality. I love the flowery of way saying that's bullshit. Bears no relation to reality and starkly contradict verified field data. Yeah. The U.S. brokered a ceasefire in October last year aimed at ending the 2-year genocide in which Israel starved 2.3 million Palestinians while bombing them daily. The Israeli blockade led to famine being declared in parts of Gaza, with dozens reported to have died from malnutrition. Just a side note, the flotilla is on its way, I believe. They left Spain, I think, and they've got like a whole bunch of people, like 100 boats or something like that, something crazy. The bombing killed over 72,000 people unofficially and wounded more than 770,000. Under the agreement, Israel was required to lift restrictions on aid entry and allow up to 600 trucks per day carrying food, fuel, medical supplies, shelter materials, and commercial goods. Israel has not met those terms and continues to impose tight limits on aid deliveries, leaving the humanitarian crisis largely unresolved. The government media office said the average number of trucks entering Gaza since October is around 227 per day, just 37% of the level agreed upon. I'm no math wizard. I'm going to say that's not that's not more than 600. For example, it said only 207 trucks entered on April 9th, including just 79 carrying humanitarian aid. Ignoring these facts constitutes serious misinformation, bullshit, and obscures a systematic reality of restricted supplies and enforced deprivation as the Israeli occupation continues to fail to meet its humanitarian obligations, the office said. Distorting facts or portraying a false reality will not change the severity of the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza, nor absolve any party of its legal and moral responsibilities, it added. UN data also indicates that Vance's claim is inaccurate. Before the genocide between 2021 and 2023, up to 12,000 trucks per month, around 400 daily entered Gaza, mostly carrying commercial goods. Since then, numbers have dropped sharply after former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who is wanted by the ICC for war crimes, said that there will be no electricity, no food, no fuel entering Gaza. Let's see. Some months during the genocide saw as few as 600 trucks in total, averaging around 20 per day. The peak saw 5,670 trucks enter in 1 month, approximately 190 per day. In November, weeks after the ceasefire, only 4,282 trucks entered, averaging 142 per day, according to UN data. Numbers have continued to decline since then. 3,513 trucks entered in January, 2,660 in February, 2,032 in March, and just 586 so far this month, as of April 15th, the middle of the month. So if you double that, that's going to be 1,172, which is, that is a decline. So they think nobody's watching, but people are watching. Middle East Eye is, at least. They're reporting on it. Amid the drop in aid, officials and residents have warned in recent weeks that food, fuel, medicine, and shelter supplies are again reaching critically low levels. Last week, Doctors Without Borders said Israel continues to deliberately obstruct aid as living conditions in Gaza remain dire. The obstruction, it said, is translating into entirely preventable deaths. While the intensity of the conflict has decreased, the reality in Gaza remains catastrophic, the organization added. Sabrine Abu Uda, a 45-year-old resident of Gaza City, told Middle East Eye earlier this week that many people fear we are heading towards famine again. She and other residents said there have been severe shortages of bread and essential supplies, including food and fuel, in recent weeks. Vegetable prices have surged amid scarcity, while eggs, chicken, and meat have nearly disappeared from the market. Yeah, so they want to say, yeah, everything's fine, man. They're getting their aid. They're getting so much aid. That's what Trump would say. They're getting so much aid. You wouldn't believe how much aid. It's more aid than they've ever had before. And blah, 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 blah. Nobody believes your bullshit. Nobody believes your bullshit. So, as our buddy Mystery coined him so appropriately, Pete Smegbreath, the Secretary of Bullshit, let go of some generals recently, I guess because they weren't licking enough boot. Now Congress pushes Army leaders for answers on ouster of top general. That's General Randy George right there. Randy George, the general with 2 first names. For 2 days in a row, Army leaders have been questioned by lawmakers about why General Randy George, the service's former chief of staff, was forced to retire earlier this month. CBS News first reported on April 2nd that Defense Secretary Pete Smegbreath had asked George to step down as the service's top officer. A Defense Department official confirmed the CBS report to Task and Purpose. That's this outlet. More than a dozen generals and admirals have been fired, and others have retired early since Smegbreath became defense secretary in January last year. But George's ouster has spurred considerably more bipartisan criticism from Congress than the past dismissals. Notably, several Republican lawmakers have voiced support for George. So when he was young, did they call him Boy George? Come, chameleon. Yesterday, members of Congress brought up George's firing several times during a House Appropriations Committee hearing on the Army's budget. Representative Ed Case, Democrat out of Hawaii, pressed Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll to say why George was forced out. Case said that Driscoll owed Congress and soldiers an explanation about why the Trump administration had decided to, quote, summarily fire the chief of staff of the Army publicly, overtly, and I would say even humiliatingly and cruelly without any offer, apparently, of a graceful exit. That's terrible, Kate. Driscoll replied that he was on vacation with his family when he learned that George had been asked to submit his retirement. I was out to lunch. When we drove back from North Carolina, I drove straight to General George's house, Driscoll said. We walked right in. We all gave him a hug. There's no person that has more respect for General George in his 42 years of service, his Purple Heart, his wife, Patty, the grandkids, their kids. I adore them, and he was an amazing transformational leader. However, Driscoll also said that civilian leaders have the power to pick the leaders that they want, adding, we execute on those orders. I was just following orders. Remember that? Just following orders. Other lawmakers praised George during Thursday's hearing, including the chairman of the Appropriations Committee, Representative Tom Cole, Republican out of Oklahoma, who described the former Army Chief of Staff as a great patriot. Cole also said that while he would never interfere with the chain of command, he wished George's military service had continued somewhat longer. He would never interfere with the chain of command. Former Republican Steve Womack of Arkansas also lauded George, adding, I too regret the fact of the conditions that he left the service, and I think that our country will regret that circumstance. Their comments come a day after Representative Austin Scott, Republican out of Georgia, warned in a separate hearing that George's ouster would have a chilling effect on the way our services operate in the future. During Wednesday's House Armed Services Committee hearing on readiness, Scott asked General Christopher Laine, the Army's acting chief of staff, why George was dismissed. Sir, that's a question for Secretary Smegbreath. Smegbreath. Mystery! Replied Laine, who has been serving as the Army's vice chief of staff since February. I've been the vice for a couple months now. We honored the service of General George and his wife. Laine has risen through the ranks rapidly since Smegbreath became defense secretary. In April last year, he replaced Air Force Lieutenant General Jennifer Short as Smeg's Breath's senior military advisor. That October, he was nominated to become Vice Chief of Staff following the retirement of General James Mingus, who served in the position for less than 2 years. Scott said he was concerned about the precedent that George's dismissal might set when he asked all the officers testifying at Wednesday's hearing if they agreed that military officers must provide their leaders with honest advice. They all said yes. If our top general officers are removed without justification from their positions for providing honest, objective advice, which is something that I always knew General George to give, then I fear that it's going to have a trickle-down effect that's going to be devastating to other officers and especially how their spouses feel about continuing to spend their lives in service, Scott said. So, yeah. So that's what Smeg's Breath wants. He wants yes men. He doesn't want generals that actually know anything about military strategy or how the world works. He just wants people to pull the trigger. Or he wants people to order those people to pull the trigger. Yeah. So it's getting wild, man. I mean, it was already wild, but this is all coming together. It's gonna come to a head at some point. And it's really good. As I always say, it's always going to come down to the American people and how much they're going to tolerate shit like this. You know, whether you like the military or not, you know, they're there, and you want to make sure you have competent leaders in the military to give advice to, you know, your civilian leadership. And, you know, it just seems like, you know, this is a clear-cut case of you're not telling me what I want to hear. You got to go. You know, speaking of Smeg's Breath, citing scripture, Smeg's Breath compares Trump to Jesus, and journalists covering unpopular Iran war to the Pharisees. Put your Bible hats on, folks. Here we go. You are nice. And that was every time I say Smeg's Breath, I'm going to be thinking of you. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but I'll be thinking of your, I'll give you credit. That's what I meant. Days after Trumpy elicited backlash with an artificially generated image likening himself to Jesus Christ, Defense Secretary Pete Smeg's Breath doubled down on the comparison, invoking scripture during a Pentagon press briefing. Smeg's Breath, an avowed Christian nationalist who has portrayed the war against Iran as part of a crusade against the Muslim world, has turned the Pentagon into a forum for proselytizing. I always have trouble with the word. Preaching. With monthly prayer meetings featuring fundamentalist pastors. We did a little bit, actually, Laine, my buddy Laine Petersen, we did a deep dive on this on the Undercurrent a few weeks back. If you're not subscribed to the Undercurrent, I highly recommend it. It's the Undercurrent, the number 4 YOU, and she actually did a big segment on the Pentagon preachers, and it's very interesting. Highly recommend that you check that out. And that posture has seeped into his regular briefings about the war, as it did on Thursday when he likened reporters covering the war negatively to the Pharisees who dismissed Jesus as a false prophet in the Bible. Yeah, we're talking about the Pentagon preachers. Yeah, so I was telling people, yeah, there we go. Bingo, bango, bongo. I don't know if I can lose.
Speaking of choosing wisely, a note to the press corps, to the American media. As I just can't help but notice the endless stream of garbage, the relentlessly negative coverage, you cannot resist peddling, despite the historic and important success of this effort and the success of our troops. Sometimes.
All right, we ain't gonna play the whole thing. It's like 4.5 minutes. Anyway, we got some outtakes here. Anyway, we could do this. So, This past Sunday, I was sitting in church with my family, and our minister preached from the book of Mark, the 3rd chapter, and in the passage, Jesus entered a synagogue and healed a man with a withered hand, Hegseth said, or Smegsbreth said. The Pharisees came to watch, and as the scripture reads, they came to see whether he, Jesus, would heal him on the Sabbath so that they might accuse him. You see, the Pharisees, the so-called elites of their time, were there to witness, to write everything down, to report, but their hearts were hardened, he continued. Probably a lot of cholesterol back then, too. That's probably why their hearts were hardened. Even though they witnessed a literal miracle, it didn't matter. They were only there to explain away the goodness in pursuit of their agenda, Smegsbreth continued. I sat there in church and I thought, these press are like these Pharisees. Not all of you, but the legacy. Trump-hating press. Fox, you're cool. Because, you know, you licked that boot very well. Yeah. Dollar Tree's at Brannigan. Oh, Leela. Yeah. Trump's portrayal of himself as a messiah over the weekend was met with so much outrage, including from many of his Christian supporters, that it is one of the few posts he has deleted from social media. Other reporting from Axios on Thursday revealed that the controversial image was perhaps more deliberate than previously thought, having been discussed with one of his closest advisors, Housing Finance Chief Bill Pulte, shortly before it was posted. And Trump has since posted another image of himself being embraced by Jesus, accompanied by a caption stating that God might be playing his Trump card. As for Smegsbreth's comments on Thursday, there was little ambiguity in his description of Trump as a Christ-like figure. The defense secretary begged the press to open their eyes to the historic goodness of the war effort and referred to the operations by the U.S. military to rescue downed bomber pilots in Iran as a miracle, even though they didn't rescue anybody because they would have put them on display like they usually do. Smegsbreth has often used scripture to sanctify overwhelming violence against enemies he deems ungodly. During a Christian service at the Pentagon late last month, he said a prayer for the U.S. military to deliver violence upon those who deserve no mercy. Behold now the wicked who shall... Wait, is this him? Behold now the wicked who rise against your justice and the peace of the righteous. Snap the rod of the oppressor, frustrate the wicked plans, and break the teeth of the ungodly. By the blast of your anger, let the evil perish, Smegsbreth said. Grant this task force clear and righteous targets for violence. Surround them as a shield. Protect the innocent and blameless in their midst. Make their arrows like those of a skilled warrior who return not empty-handed. Let every round find its mark against the enemies of righteousness and our great nation. I didn't even see how he could even sit in a church without, smoking and bursting into flames. Whatever overtures have been made toward protecting the innocent, Smegsbreth's holy war has resulted in more than 1,700 dead civilians in Iran, including more than 250 children, according to the most recent casualty report from the U.S.-based human rights activist news agency, or Harana. More than 3 million people have been displaced from their homes, according to the UN Refugee Agency. The war that Smegsbreth suggested the press should be covering positively has been broadly unpopular from the beginning, with 56% of respondents to a Marist poll in early March disapproving of military action. Just 24% of Americans said in a Reuters Ipsos poll this week that the war has been worth the costs and benefits, with a divide even among Trump's core supporters. MAGA split. 20% of Republicans said the war has not been worth it, and 24% were unsure. The 24% who want this war are the cultists, and probably work for the military-industrial complex, if we're being real. This is like being embarrassed for living in New Jersey. So my buddy Ed was telling me yesterday that Smegsbreth was doing a quote of Ezekiel from, but he was using the version from Pulp Fiction that was kind of altered, I guess, that what's his name? Tarantino altered the quote or something. Anyway, Smeg's breath gets all his religious inspiration from violent Tarantino movies. God knows what he got from Planet Terror. Although that's probably what he wants. Finally, in our propaganda watch here, YouTube bans channel that mocked Trump with viral Lego videos. So this is a bit misleading. I think maybe they started there, but now it seems like those videos have gotten a life of their own as far as like people putting them out. So where's my thing? There we go. I'm gonna get you, bitch. That's like the gold, by the way. There's so many of them out there too. So YouTube has suspended a channel believed to be linked to Iran, Explosive Media. It's funny, Explosive Media, which gained popularity for its Lego-style animated videos mocking Trump and depicting the reality of U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. Mashable Me reported. The ban was announced by the group on Friday, with YouTube citing alleged violent content. Violent content. That was their reason for getting rid of it. The suspension came hours after the group's latest video, a rap animation linking Trump to the Epstein files, went viral, garnering millions of views. On the tweeters, the group questioned the decision, writing, "Seriously? Are our Lego-style animations actually violent? While the videos depict war and conflict, their Lego animations style makes them appear less graphic. Critics argue that the content is pro-Iran, which appears to have influenced YouTube's decision." Yes, of course, that's the real reason. As the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran continues, a parallel battle is being fought on social media platforms. Explosive Media has been one of the most talked about players in this digital space, using humor and accessible animation to reach Western audiences. Despite the ban, Explosive Media's videos remain widely available on other platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And of course, other people spoofing and, well, not spoofing, but sharing them as well. So it's basically the genie's out of the bottle. You're not putting that back in. Mustafa Ayad, a researcher at the Institute of Strategic Dialogue, told Wired magazine they're making it easily accessible to understand the conflict from Iran's point of view, and it's hitting on points of disaffection in the U.S. at the same time. It's working on two fronts. The creators deny any official ties to the Iranian government. Their videos show a strong grasp of American culture and internet trends, helping them reach audiences in the U.S. What the ban reveals, however, is not Iranian state interference, but a deeper reality. American social media users are increasingly engaging with and agreeing with pro-Iran content. And by that, of course, you're seeing a lot of sympathy for Iran, right? The U.S.-Israeli war on Iran remains deeply unpopular, and many Americans see Iran's response as justified retaliations against unprovoked aggression that began in February. Rather than manufactured propaganda, the resonance of these videos reflects a genuine shift in public sentiment, one that Western platforms appear eager to suppress. Of course, right? I always say that communication is key, and your communication tools and your communication skills are key as well, right? Delicious. And so, I mean, really, who doesn't like Lego, right? The Lego movies were great. The funny thing is like nobody got them on copyright, because you can't really get them on copyright. They're AI, and it's not like they're spoofing Lego IP. They're making their own kind of thing there, right? And when people see this, so you combine the sympathy for Iran, for people's dislike of Trump, and by association, of course, Israel. You can't really it's not hard to realize why these videos are so popular like that. And they're no holds barred either. They basically, like, if something happens, they'll do a video on it and tell you exactly what happened. And they got like all kinds of like rap music and all this stuff. And it's very eye catching. It's very ear catching. And of course, YouTube's like, that's too violent. YouTube, those jokers. Well, that's your propaganda watch for today. I want to get to, of course, our mutual aid folks. If you have anybody that you know that's in need of mutual aid, let me know. I'll tell you here how in a second. Of course, our buddy Chanda had passed away a couple weeks ago. I still haven't found any information about this GoFundMe. It's still up. So until somebody tells me otherwise, or until they take this down, I'm still going to put this up. I would assume like some of this money will probably go to remaining medical bills and funeral costs and that sort of thing. So I'm going to leave all the links for these are down below. If you want to share, if you want to donate there, that's fine. But like I said, if you know somebody that knows what's going on with this, if you could let me know, I would appreciate it. And I'll pass along that information, any updates. Of course, Justice for Aspen. She's dealing with legal bills down in Georgia, was arrested in a vehicle with somebody who was wanted, had a warrant out for their arrest, and she didn't. But because she was a passenger in the vehicle, she got arrested too. It's that dumb Georgia shit down there. So if you can help her out, that's great. And obviously, if you can't afford to donate anything, if you share out the links, that would be very appreciative as well. Our buddy Cowboy Kitty, his sister-in-law Natalia, of course, getting screwed over by ICE. She needs money for legal funds. She's totally legal here in the United States, but of course it's ICE fuckery as usual. Our buddy NoliDee, who had suffered some destruction in a fire. She could use your help too, trying to raise funds for her. And of course, our buddy Kevin over at Black Bear News, who lost his home in the Eaton fires in LA. Really cute little girl there too. So if you can help out, that would be great. And like I said, if you can't afford to, that's fine. Well, I mean, it's not fine. That means that you're broke too. I'm not saying that, but you know what I mean. If you could share out the links, that would be helpful as well. And if you know anybody, not just anybody that's, if anybody that knows anything about these particular GoFundMe accounts, particularly Chanda's, if you can let me know at extrabulla@gmail.com, or if you know somebody that's in need of mutual aid and you want me to put the word out, I'll be more than happy to do that. We announce them on this show, but we also have them in the links to all the other shows as well. So if you can help out, that would be great. We totally do appreciate it. Tonight, it is Friday night, and that means the secret show tonight at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. If you want to come out tonight for sillies, take your mind off things for a couple hours, we'll watch some videos. Some of them are silly. Some of them are pretty raunchy. My buddy, Abby Dew, was in the chat last week, and I think she was like, oh my, this is scandalous. She thought I was going to be talking about politics and stuff. I'm like, no, we don't. We may mention a little something here and there, but the show is all about sillies. It's about taking your mind off things for a couple hours. Because I do feel we need, when you're hyper focused on what's going on in the world, it can drive you crazy. And sometimes you just need a small respite away from that. So come and join us tonight in the chat. We'll have some fun videos, and we have some informative videos too. We don't just do potty jokes and poo-poo and pee-pee jokes and stuff like that. We do some actual informing of people. So if you want to come out for that, that's tonight, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. Kate, I just said it. Kate, are you even listening? Indeed, Mystery. A little bit, yes. It's like a spice, right? You don't want the whole thing to be one spice, but you just want to spice things up, kind of get away from that crazy stuff. So, and we had a pretty decent crowd last week too. I was very surprised at that. There must have been a lot of people that had nothing to do on a Friday night, which is totally fine. Speaking of distractions, hey, some of us like to play video games. You know, some of us Gen X people who grew up with like Ataris and stuff like that, or some of us are still gamers. And one woman in Ohio scared the hell out of somebody, out of her people. The only reason I said that is because while I was announcing the secret show tonight, you said this. Uncle Warren, are you going live tonight? Yeah. Oh yeah. And make sure you're checking out Chuck's Intergalactic UFO show on YouTube and Rumble. He's getting ready for episode 6. He's got a teaser out there. So Chuck, if you want to put a link to your channel in the chat, that'd be cool. We'll put that up. So yeah, an elderly lady in Ohio scared the hell out of her family. They didn't know what was going on with her, but turns out a welfare check finds Ohio woman, 91 years old, safe playing video games. I don't know how long. Oh, that's a.
Welcome back to News.
Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, let me see if I can do this. Can we do this? Can we do this? Is this going to happen? We'll see. And oh no. How would this work? Play? Is that going to play? Nah, fuck off. Anyway, I'll just tell you about it. I hate it when shit doesn't work. They do this screwy stuff here with like, there's no play button. I don't know how that. Oh, there it is. It's because I'm not very smart. There we go.
Welcome back to News 5 at 11. I'm Rob Powers. An amazing ending to a scary situation in Westlake yesterday. Police and the family of a 91-year-old woman unable to get a hold of her. But officers never could have imagined what they were about to find when they went to check things out. Our Scott Knoll explains.
Westlake police at the home of a 91-year-old woman Thursday night.
783, garage doors open. We're gonna make entry.
Police, her family, all unable to get a hold of the homeowner.
And vehicles in the garage.
The woman, a part of the city's Are You OK program. We've told you about it before.
Hello. This is the Are You OK?
Allowing residents to sign up for a daily call to check in, make sure everything's all right.
It is a really nice service that has saved lives in the past.
In January, we told you about how it led police to a woman who fell inside her home and couldn't get back up. This time, another woman not answering the call.
Everyone's a little bit alarmed that she was missing these contacts.
What would police find this time?
Westlake Police!
To protect the woman's identity, police didn't release any more of that video. But what happens next, no one would have guessed.
Turned out to be all okay. Everyone got a good laugh out of it.
Police found her all right in her room. We'll let the officers called to dispatch explain the rest.
We're here with her now. She's playing video games in her bedroom.
Police say not just playing video games, but trying to beat her record level, officers say. In the process, missing those attempts to check in on her. But we're told, thankful police came out. In Westlake, I'm News 5 investigator Scott Knoll.
She said, fuck you, I'm playing video games. So yeah, so they were really when the check on her found her safe and playing video games. So the concerns were raised on April 9th after a 91-year-old resident enrolled in that Confirm OK program. I guess this is in Cleveland. So they dispatched police. I'm trying to fit. Once inside the home, police found the woman safe, playing video games in her bedroom. She explained she missed the calls because she was focused on beating her top score in a bubble pop game. Turned out it'd be okay. Everyone got a good laugh, blah, yada, yada. You know, that's probably going to be me, or, you know, my people will be, like, Warren, did you shit your pants again? Yeah, but, you know, I got this shooter that I liked and I couldn't get up. In fact, I'm actually thinking about buying some Depends and wearing them when I play video games because it's just too good. You don't want to get up. The first time you got married, it was at a church in Westlake, Ohio. See, it all comes full circle, Kate. It all comes together, right? All together. That's that's all the show you get this week. I mean, you're good people, but yeah, that's all you get. We like I said, we'll be on tonight, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time, on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. Come out and hang out with us tonight for a couple hours. If you like this show or any of these shows, you like the channel, you like the stuff that we do here, please give us a like, a share, a subscribe, tell your friends. Word of mouth is always the best advertising, especially for shows like this. You know, and we try to do good news aggregation for you on Fridays. We try to entertain you on Friday nights. We do gaming. And of course, you know, we do news that you can use with our buddy Laine Petersen on the Undercurrent on Wednesdays. That's the next time you'll probably see me. I got a friend in town this weekend, so may not be doing gaming or any of that business, but so we'll say next time you see me will be Wednesday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time for the Undercurrent with Laine Petersen and I. So it should be a good time. As far as like getting the news out to you. We're going to have our buddy Willie Bragg on next Wednesday. I think he might be actually co-hosting the show with us. We're going to work all that out, see what, how Willie's going to fit into the mix, but he definitely will be, on for that. If you want to donate to the show, of course, if you're on YouTube, you can do super chats, or we got, down below, you want to become a Patreon for like $1 or $5, you get, your name and lights at the beginning of the show. We also have Venmo and CashApp and other stuff. It's all down below in the links. If you want to donate, that's fine. If you could share out the links, that helps too. Sharing is definitely carry. You have a difficult time getting to the Undercurrent? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want us to send you an Uber? Is that what you want? Do you want us to send you some alarm clocks, Kate? It's okay. You can always watch the after. You can watch the replay. Yeah, it's fine. Trying to think of any other announcements. I think that's it. We've been getting some devastating storms across the country this week. Mostly in the Midwest, parts of Texas too, and over into the east. So if you're in those areas, be careful. I think some more is going to be happening today. We made it through without the internet dropping. Miracles do exist. So thanks everybody. Oh, good, very good. Thanks, Kate. Thanks everybody in the chat. Thanks everybody that's watching this, watching the repeat. We appreciate and love each and every one of you. Again, I'll be back probably the next time you'll see me will be Wednesday. Maybe before then. Who knows? I'm fickle. Take care of yourselves. Love each other. Stay out of the cults. Use your critical thinking skills. And let's get together and make a better place. It's up to us. You can't vote your way out of this, and you can't wish it away. It's going to take some work. So take care of yourselves, y'all. I will see you when I see you. Peace!
This is City Alpha 5! Woo!